Ministers, Governors, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Selamat datang. I am Anna Stenstam, CEO of a company working with industry but very close to academia. My role here is as moderator, and it's a bit ironic to say, but my key thing today is to keep the time, okay? So we're starting really good. But please help me now by honoring the schedule to make sure that we have time for the interactivity. But first a note of why we are here, the purpose of this seminar. It is to understand and develop the Triple Helix model of academia, industry, and government sector in an Indonesian context. The goal being to increase valorization, skill level, and innovation with classic win-win for both parties. We are very happy that we are so many participants and that you are representing all what is needed to ensure a successful Triple Helix. That is also why you are seated the way you are, to ensure fruitful meetings and our round table discussions. Now, we will finally begin this program, and I'm honored to introduce the two welcome speakers. First, Professor Raja Swedia, Rector of ITB.
Ministers, Excellencies, Honorable, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let me extend my warmest welcome to all of you. It is a great honor for Institute Teknologi Bandung to have you all as our honorable guests. Let me express our exciting feeling to be able to host this very important seminar on the topic of the Triple Helix. It has been our major concern to learn and formulate the most effective strategies to develop productive alliance between universities, government, and private sectors. This Triple Helix Indonesia-Sweden Perspectives Seminar would allow the both sides to share knowledge and experiences, which would be very valuable for us to find the most appropriate strategy to link the three stakeholders of Triple Helix. Such strategy is very important to gain our national optimum economic development. In regard to this, we believe that Sweden has a long and well-established experiences from which Indonesian could learn. On the other hand, Indonesian experiences also offer some uniqueness which would be very valuable for Sweden international perspectives. At the end of my speech, let me deliver my speech in Swedish. Till Minister, Rektorer, Företagsledare och övriga gäster, den ara att ni besöker oss. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you very much for your enthusiastic participation in the seminar, while hoping that all of you would have a very enjoyable time in Bandung. We also do hope that the seminar would be enlightening for all of us. Have a pleasant and fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Now let me introduce and welcome Professor Viktor Öhvall, Rector of LTH Lund University.
Ministers, Governors, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure I'm back in Indonesia and back in Bandung to welcome you to this Triple Helix Seminar on behalf of Lund University and the Swedish Embassy. We look very much forward to these fruitful discussions that we will have today following this. So we have the interesting presentations and we will have fruitful discussions that will lead to more cooperation between our two So a warm welcome to this Triple Helix Seminar. Thank you.
Now we're welcome, and we are to introduce the first speaker, His Excellence Mr. Bambang Brodjonegoro, Minister of National Development Planning.
Excellencies, Rector of ITB, as well as Rector of Lund University, Mr. Ulf Ewaldsen, Head of Digital Service, Ericsson, and Chairman of KTH Royal Institute of Technology, distinguished panelists, guests from Sweden and Indonesia, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon to all of you. First of all, I would like to welcome all of our honorable guests to Bandung, the city with a great history, not only for Indonesia, but also for all nations of Asia and Africa. The world has known that Bandung was a host for the very historical event of the first large-scale Asian-African conference, a meeting of Asian and African states, most of which were newly independent, which took place on April 1955. It is indeed my great honor to receive our distinguished guests with the warmest greeting, the Majesties King Carl XVI Gustaf and Queen Silvia of Sweden, along with all delegates of the Swedish government and business groups. I'm very pleased to witness the very long history of bilateral relation between two important and influential countries located in different continents, Sweden in Europe and Indonesia in Asia. As we can see, Asia is a region where many countries have experienced an impressive growth in the latest 5 to 10 years, and Indonesia has gained a lot of economic benefits from such growth. As we observe from a number of international reports, Indonesia is considered to be one of the most prospective and promising nations in Asia, with steady, even high growth in the near future, which leads to open up an opportunity for investment, business and trade in support of economic development. Meanwhile, Sweden is one of the very important nations in Europe with a great deal of advancement, especially in the context of social and economic development, advanced scientific research, as well as technology innovation. We believe that a globalized economy, the needs for a strong relation amongst nations are obviously inevitable. And we are indeed thankful for having such impressive experiences for a long decade of friendship and cooperation between Indonesia and Sweden, the two vibrant countries which result in mutual benefits for the people of the two nations. Therefore, we need to develop further and strengthen our bilateral relations by expanding investment in various strategic areas and development sectors. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in the context of economic development, we need to take into account the role of university. It is widely acknowledged university is one of the main actors of knowledge production and scientific development through scientific research, which results in invention and innovation. We, therefore, should encourage private sectors, industry and business to get involved in scientific research by providing financial support. Meanwhile, industry can benefit from research-based innovation and implement that to create new commercial products. In this context, creating effective policy instrument is essential to facilitate the world of academia, scholars, and scientists to do their job in carrying out innovative research. Bandung Institute of Technology, or ITB, for instance, is one of the leading higher education institutions with a great achievement in scientific development and innovative research. Therefore, promoting public-private partnership in the form of a triple helix model, government, industry, university, is indispensable for the benefit of the involved parties. The concept of triple helix suggests that three parties need to create some strategies to work together to promote innovation, which contribute to economic growth. We acknowledge that this model has long been a key feature of economic development strategy in developed countries, and now it is increasingly applied in emerging countries. In the Indonesian context, the Triple Helix model has been known as a non-linear mechanism amongst university business government to promote sustainable economic development, science and technology policy, innovation along the joint partnership. Distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen, we recognize that scientific research resulting in technology innovation is the key in support of knowledge-based economy. In the practical context, scientific research has twofold goals. The first is to generate academic publication that represent scholarly works of academics and scientists. Secondly, to create innovation that can be transformed into mass production and eventually brought to business market for commercial purposes. To conduct innovative research obviously needs adequate financial support, and it is needed to find alternative sources of fund in support of it, since public spending on research is considered very low. Therefore, a solid collaborative work involving university, industry and government must be promoted. To get the maximum benefits of research, innovation should then go into market, while industry and business will explore more innovation for new products with reference to the needs of the market. In the Triple Helix model, each of them maintains equal role to play as illustrated here. University and research institution, for example, LIPI or Indonesia Institute of Sciences, are the prime mover of the innovation system, as they are in charge of conducting both basic and applied research. It is believed that this kind of research has significantly contributed to increasing productivity. Meanwhile, government agency plays an important role in fostering environment which is conducive for the creation, testing, and adoption of the new technologies. In the meantime, industry and business entities are perceived as the primary generator of innovation, which offer great potential in production process. Given the fact that partnership among university, industry, government is critical for economic growth, Indonesia needs to learn more from Sweden in terms of how to mobilize resources in support of innovative research. We have observed how Sweden has been very successful in coping with economic challenges by establishing the Triple Helix model. The Swedish government has shown us the ways to create and promote strategic collaboration program which involve private companies and industry through partnership with universities. With regards to the ideas illustrated above, here I would like also to share with you about the country's strategic development plan as written on National Medium-Term Development Plan. In this document, the Indonesian government has made strategic policies to improve the quality, relevance, and competitiveness of higher education, which include, among others, developing innovative measures and subjects that meet the needs of industries and development, improving competency of graduates who could meet the needs of labor markets, particularly in some private sectors, such as agriculture, tourism, manufacturing industries, fisheries, maritime, and creative economy. For this, the government has already assigned a number of Indonesian-based universities and institutes, among others like ITB, UGM, IPB, and LIPI, in collaboration with private sectors to conduct scientific applied research and produce innovation. Each university and institute has its own concentration of research subject. ITB focuses on ICT, transportation and energy. UGM focuses on medical devices, pharmacy and livestock. LIPI focuses on medicine and health, agriculture and energy. And IPB focuses on tropical agriculture, food, biosciences, and creative industry. However, the Indonesian government has not been able to meet the minimum requirement of budget allocation for R&D in support of technology innovation. Public spending on R&D is considered very low, only about 0.1% of GDP. Therefore, we need to learn from the Swedish experience of how the country is successful in encouraging private sector to be involved in promoting innovation by sharing budget for R&D. We acknowledge that R&D is pivotal to create and promote innovation for commercial product. Hence, the government has introduced the Indonesian Science Fund with main purpose to finance basic research resulting in scientific development and knowledge production. In addition to that, Indonesian government is also preparing the establishment of Innovation Fund, which involve private sector by mobilizing financial resources to support R&D activities, especially applied research. The establishment of the Innovation Fund will create opportunity for the three main stakeholders, government, university, and industry, to collaborate in promoting innovation through applied research activities. The Innovation Fund will facilitate them to improve the capacity for innovation which is needed by industry. The establishment of Innovation Fund has some key objectives. First, to help transform Indonesia's existing assets through promoting the creation of entrepreneurial and innovative culture for significant growth. Second, to accelerate innovation growth, productivity, and competitiveness. Third, to shift the innovation focus towards private sector as a generator of innovation. Fourth, provide financial support through practical and accessible tools. And fifth, to proactively stimulate and drive the innovation process, as well as to establish innovation system and mechanism of commercialization. Excellencies, panelists, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we acknowledge that Swedish government is supporting Indonesia in improving capacity for innovation and strengthening national competitiveness in the global context. The Triple Helix partnership programs would lead to the creation of Sweden-Indonesia R&D projects to increase capacity and share innovation. As arranged on the plan, the partnership programs cover 5 strategic areas. First, the next generation of travel and transport, including the use of new fuel and friendly environmental transportation. Second, smart cities that promote innovation with the use of technology for managing climate and urban environment. Third, circular bio-based economy that address the issue of renewable forest biomass to replace fossil-based products and fuel. Fourth, life sciences that promote technology innovation in medicine and methodology of health treatments. And fifth, connected industry and new materials, which include cloud computing, robotics, manufacturing, and the use of sustainable materials. All those partnership development programs would be beneficial for both of the countries, as we could exchange experiences and best practices in our countries, as well as the opportunity of technology transfer. We will find this seminar very interesting as it opens up the opportunity for us to discuss some strategic issues with the involvement of representatives of Swedish industry and academia, as well as policymakers of the two countries. For this, on behalf of the Indonesian government, I would like to express our deepest appreciation and respect and sincere thankful to the Swedish government that's willing to offer innovation partnership program. We also very glad that this seminar will end up with the signing of the Memorandum of Agreement between Indonesia's Ministry of Research, Science, Technology and Higher Education and Lund University, and MOU between ITB and Ericsson. I do believe that Indonesian government will gain a great deal of benefits from this kind of partnership, which help the country deal with socio-economic challenges with innovative approach. Thank you very much and look forward to having fruitful discussion during this seminar. All of us are welcome to be involved in this interesting knowledge sharing and experience exchanging in this meeting. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Now, I'm honored to introduce Professor Intan Ahmad, Director General at the Ministry of Research, Technology and Higher Education. Please.
Thank you very much. Excellency, Minister Bambang, Rector of ITB, Rector of Lund University, Honorable Delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First, apology from our Minister, Pak Nasir, because he is unable to attend this important meeting because he is with the President in Malang. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to be able to stand before all of you, ladies and gentlemen, in this seminar and give a speech in relation to Science Park as a meeting place for the Triple Helix. In this regard, I would like to talk on a particular topic that is most relevant to the topic upon which this event embarked, which is on the opportunities and prevailing conditions of university-industry government relationship at the policy level in Indonesia. And then I will begin with setting the Indonesian context. Dear distinguished guests, as a country, Indonesia is perhaps blessed by the richness of its natural resources, diverse culture, and its human capital. With the so-called democratic bonus, it is projected that Indonesia will move into the 7th largest economy in the world by 2030 or something. This, of course, is not without precondition, which is that the quality of our higher education need to be pushed upward to cater the need of nurturing a generation that in the future is capable of becoming the world leader through research and innovation. University and higher education in Indonesia, as those that are hoped to be a solution to our problem, has unfortunately not been able to demonstrate a desirable performance, not least in comparison to other countries in Asia. For example, based on the 2014 UNESCO data, the number of researchers in Indonesia is only around 500 out of 1 million people. Compare this with China with more than 1,000, Japan around 7,000, and also Singapore with also around 7,000 per million people. So how do we as institution for higher education answer to such a challenge and problem? Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, in response to such a question, it is imperative that higher education must play its role not only as an agent of education and research, but also an agent of culture, knowledge and technology transfer on the one hand, and an agent of economic development on the other. Of course, it is time for university to contribute to the economic and societal development through real-life innovation and a downstream of scientific flow. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry of Research, Technology and Higher Education acknowledges this is a problem to be solved and therefore taps into the basket through its vision. First, to improve access, relevancy and the quality of higher education in order to produce qualified Indonesian human capital. And second, to leverage the science, technology and innovation competency in order to increase the number of innovation. The Ministry has given a strong emphasis on the latter point to the extent that a specific Director General on Innovation is established to boost innovation in research and education institutions in the country. From 10 our priority program, 4 of them are closely knit with innovation. First, developing science technology park. Second, improving Center of Excellence and Center of Innovation programs. Third, promoting international publication and patents. Fourth, establishing innovation cluster and incubation for the 5 years period. In terms of budget, we have allocated more than 1 trillion rupiah in 2017 alone for research and development, a figure that has kept increasing over the past 10 years. The Ministry also coordinates with non-ministerial research agencies to ensure a continuous and sustainable innovation processes. This is delivered to 10 focal areas of research within Indonesia's Research Master Plan. This leads to our policy on science and technology parks. Dear distinguished guests, if we now have a look at President Joko Widodo Nawacita or the 9 priority agendas, point 6 in the list relates to establishing Science Technopark or STP in Indonesian regions. Vocational higher education through advanced facilities, infrastructure, and technologies. The role of this STP is to commercialize and scale up research and development results in research and educational institutions throughout Indonesia. In this regard, our ministry, in collaboration again with other ministries and institutions in Indonesia, attempt to operationalize this mandate by categorizing them in 3 levels, which are technoparks that are located and managed at the municipal or regional level, science parks that are established in the multidisciplinary manner and managed at the professional level, and national science and technology park that link national level research and academic institution, industry, and national government under the Triple Helix scheme. Each of the 3 entities play particular roles in development of these STPs, whereas academics become the engine of innovation, research and development. Business takes its part in delivering this innovation to a commercial level, and the government provides regulational platform and support in order to build a good innovation ecosystem. Currently, along with other ministries such as the Ministry of Industry, the Ministry of Agriculture, and the Ministry of Marine and Fishery, as well as other research agencies, we have developed and are developing 100 science and techno parks that are distributed across Indonesia at different regional level. University, of course, play a major part in the establishment of this STP, and we can see success story from large campus such as this Institute of Technology Bandung, Bogor Agricultural University, University of Indonesia, and others in the establishment of their science and technology park. Still, there are challenges in managing this grand project, but I'm positive that with support of every stakeholders of the Triple Helix, the program will become a key to lead an innovation culture in Indonesia for the sake of our future generation. Ladies and gentlemen, to end my remarks, I strongly hope and believe that at the end of the seminar today, both Indonesia and Swedish participants will be able to identify common interests so as to further develop this interest into concrete collaborative programs which will benefit both Indonesian and Swedish citizens. With this, I would like to thank the Indonesian-Sweden delegation for your interest and commitment to the whole process. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to start with the Swedish speakers. And I'm happy to introduce Dr. Sven Tore Holm, CEO of Lunda Vision and co-founder of Ideon Science Park. Welcome.
Minister, Excellencies, friends of innovation, I will now give you 8 minutes presentation on what has been done in the city of Lund and in connection with the University of Lund. This is from 1983 when the province of Scania, which is our province, decided to start an operation together with Lund University in order to organize a new industrial structure. On this picture you can see people from the public sector, you can see from university, and you can see from industry. For me as a boss for this operation, this was a natural combination of people to organize in what's now called Triple Helix. At that time we didn't know the word. Now it's on everybody's mouth, and it has been a thing that is rolling around the world. Triple Helix, Triple Helix. This is in fact the place in 1983 where we started to establish the science park of Ideon. It's farmland. So the purpose of this operation was to try to create a new industrial structure, because at that time in Sweden we had a kind of recession in the traditional industries, and there was a need for the future, for the creation of the future industries and a much more, let's say, R&D based industry. So it was a natural thing to invite the university to take part in this operation together with industry, of course. It's also a matter of employment, future employment, because everybody knows that large corporations tends to reduce employment. Small companies, new started companies will employ people. And the net effect of that in Sweden is that most job creation is done in small and medium-sized companies. That's a lesson to be learned. And of course, above all, from a political point, it was about economic growth of our country and our region. So, just to make it short for you, because as you know, we have been traveling around in Indonesia and trying to figure out how you are going to do it. And we did it this way. The physical structure of, I would say, all Swedish science parks is really run by the private sector. And the total content, what's going on inside it, that is a matter for the public, from the national level to the provincial level and down to even the local community level. And the content, we have been discussing this with different parties here in Indonesia, and this is part of the content that will be found in a true science park. We have been dealing with incubators where paper will become a real company, and we have been talking about the necessity of having the business support, professional business support. We have been talking about education, different seminars. Accumulated is about 800 companies, and I would say that 70% of them have or has had a relation to the Lund University, and that's fascinating. And you can imagine the potential of this country with the number of people and the number of students you have here. It must be possible. The total employment accumulated so far is about 20,000 people. That's a whole bunch of people. In Sweden, it's a small town. And the annual turnover is about $4 billion a year from these companies. And they didn't exist 25 years ago. So what's going on here? Yes, I started out this relation with Indonesia on Hakteknas in 2011, giving a speech. And since that, we have had several meetings with Ristek, now Perspectives, and also BPPT and other structures, and of course also universities. And we are now signing a kind of agreement to make our collaboration even closer in a 5-year program. In order to support you, to get things going, to get the 9 science parks going, and of course also a whole lot of educational activities, which is included in the agreement. So this is an 8-minute presentation of a story that in fact is almost 35 years old. So good luck, and we'll be here, and we will soon be back. Thank you.
Thank you, Sven Tore. Take the advantage during the discussions that you have Sven Tore here to hear more about your ideas. Now, I'm happy to introduce Dr. Marie Lövegren, Director of Sten K. Jonsson Center for Entrepreneurship at Lund University. A warm welcome.
So, ministers, governors, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy to be here. Since Bandung and ITB has a special place in my heart, I was here a couple of months ago for a fortnight of education and discussion about curriculum development, so this is a familiar place to me. Anyhow, what we are going to talk about today is how we advance the entrepreneurial competence and why that is important. As you know, the Triple Helix is a model for the development of innovation and growth through collaboration between academia, existing companies, and the state, where the university is the source of human capital as well as new knowledge and technology, most often called innovations. So the university, I believe, could deliver more value in the Triple Helix model by advancing the entrepreneurial competence in students and researchers, as well as in the existing companies and the state employees. Why is that? Because entrepreneurs are the ones that transform an innovation to a business. They create the growth from the innovations. Entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs are important actors to generate this triple helix. So, all companies have started small. I know there's a lot of large companies in this aula, and probably those who are representatives of those large companies probably can't remember when their company looked like this. But I can guarantee that you all remember the struggles that you have had during the way of becoming a large company. And if you are a startup, beware, 75% of all startups fail. So it's not an easy task to create a startup. Entrepreneurship is thus on the agenda whether you are a small company and if you are a large company, because if you're a large company you still need to renew and to keep your competitive advantage. Now, either you can learn this through a trial and error process, which takes some time, or you can learn about the entrepreneurial process and potentially reduce the risk of failure. And that is where we come into play. Here we are, the Stenker Johnson Center for Entrepreneurship. What we do is that we advance entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs through research and education. We develop entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs, what we call those people that are engaged in large companies and that develops the companies from inside. We do this in an interdisciplinary manner, often. That is, we mix students or employees or state persons from different areas with different competencies into one and the same team and one and the same course. That creates another dynamic than if we just should have one topic separated from another. We do this on an international basis. That means, but we don't only mix the different competencies, we also mix different nationalities. And that, of course, adds to this dynamic. It also adds to a cultural understanding. It adds to the possibility of moving into markets outside of your own in an easier way because you already have the contacts that are there. So, we base all this on contemporary research in entrepreneurship, in innovation management, and entrepreneurial learning. Yes. Our outputs so far is in our international master's program, we have approximately, or we had this semester, 1,300 applicants. We accepted 50 students, and we have from our alumni for the past 5 years, we have a 60% alumni startups. So 61% is still out there doing business of our alumni. We also are very much engaged in contract education, not least to Indonesia through the Triple Helix and through the Incubator Science Park program. But all over the world we have educated 357 participants to those courses in entrepreneurship and innovation management. So how do we do this? We try to, based on our knowledge in entrepreneurial learning, action-oriented manner. We throw the students or the participants out in the real life. We expose them for the innovation system. We expose them for mentors. We expose them for internships, especially when it comes to innovation management, where they do actual internships for about 4 months during half of this program. And we of course involve a lot of guest lecturers into our programs as role models and as people who knows the very, very practical details of things. We cooperate with other departments at the university, and that is the strength of Lund University, that it is a comprehensive university, so we have all the different faculties close by. And of course, we constantly move between theory and practice in workshops and different challenging activities. And this model, in our experience, makes it much easier for students to start their own companies and to get involved in innovation management processes in the existing firms, because they have learned an entrepreneurial mindset. They have learned that they need to do things. So, by advancing the entrepreneurial competence, we strengthen the actors in the Triple Helix. We improve the quality of the projects entering into the Triple Helix, and we foster an entrepreneurial university culture, and that in turn increase the number of projects entering into the Triple Helix. So this was my conclusion, and if you want to know more about what we do at the Stenko Johnson Center for Entrepreneurship, you can have a look at our webpage, which you can see here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marie. Now, for the last but not least speaker of this first session, I am very pleased to introduce Professor Satryo Soemantri Brodjonegoro, Vice Chairman of IAPI. Welcome.
Excellencies, dear colleague, ladies and gentlemen, and all the participants, after listening from the previous speakers, I think we have to have some knowledge how to make the Science Park and Triple Helix as effective as possible. And one of the concerns from the IAPI, Academy of Science Indonesia, is that Science Park should be treated or considered as an innovation hub. So let me now describe to you briefly, because I'm allowed to speak only 8 minutes. I make it short, of course, how the innovation hub can be effective. And this program in Indonesia we label as the Innovating Indonesia, and this is one of the Bappenas main program for the future. So with this, Science Park and Triple Helix will become an effective means of improving Indonesian competitiveness. So Innovating Indonesia will focus on globally, nearly all innovation comes from small, medium enterprise, and on existing companies or spin-outs, and on potential high-impact new startups, wherever they come from in the private sector or from research institute or universities. So we do not distinguish who will be the actors in this innovation activity. High potential ICT startups tend to be targeted by an array of venture capitalists or existing large business. Innovating Indonesia is not expecting to focus on this area. Instead, the focus will be in broad areas of manufacturing, where long-term support for innovation and competitiveness is mostly needed. The sectors to be covered by Innovating Indonesia will include national priorities and those of particular social importance. For example, the manufacturing aspect of health, the environment, and the green economy. These broad areas may, for example, include manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, infrastructure, construction, food security, energy production and use, health service, environmental sustainability, tourism, indigenous industries, and green industry. In time, Innovating Indonesia is likely to focus more precisely in the selected sectors based on its future experience. The focus on manufacturing, as opposed for instance ICT startups, is also social. Quite simply, manufacturing has to be potentially to create far more jobs than local GDP impact. For example, Facebook has a market valuation of around $375 billion and employs 15,724 people worldwide. Whereas GE, General Electric, has a market valuation of $271 billion and some 300,000 direct employees. The impact of manufacturing on supporting indirect employment is also high. Apple, which is essentially a manufacturer, provides indirect employment to approximately 600,000 people. Working with the high potential innovation companies will become a mainstream service of the hub. Working with startups or existing SMEs to advance their innovation, productivity, and competitive advantages. The hub will be innovative in the development of its program, not least in the way it works with high potential companies. One option would be to become a part of the company to help accelerate the innovation and its competitiveness. This also provides a source of revenue for the hub through an agreed exit strategy and reward. So the program of innovation hub will be to make the SMEs adopt the existing cutting-edge technologies in order to transform their production and other elements of their business in the existing staple industries. So this is the remark I would like to convey from the Institute of Academic Science, and we hope that this collaboration, Swedish and Indonesia, mainly on the Triple Helix and Science Park, will become materialized. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
I'd like us to give a big round of applause for all the speakers at one time. Thank you very much. Thank you. This was a display of all three parties of the Triple Helix. So thank you very much. And here we have some gifts, some tokens. Yes. What they're given is the Lund University book regarding the anniversary that we have, 350 years this year. So with this, thank you very much. And now you have to leave the stage, and instead I welcome up on stage representatives from Swedish industry in Indonesia. With us today we have Mr. Carl Johan Westring, Vice President at EF, Mr. Ola Jernberg, Managing Director at SKF, and Mr. Anders Dahl, Vice President of Saab Asia Pacific. Please welcome all three of you. Is this Carl Johan or EF, which is known as language school, right? SKF and Saab. Thank you. What we're going to do now is to, is there a microphone for me that I'm portable? Good. Do you have microphones there? Great. What we will do is to have a little discussion up here on stage. And we'll see if time allows also from questions from you. Otherwise, they will go back and join the group discussions. So I'll start with you, Anders, at Saab. I understand that one of your reasons for being interested in the Triple Helix is to make sure that you have a sustainable supply chain here in Indonesia with competent people and companies working with. But what active role do you see that you can play in these science parks?
Okay, I can probably spend the rest of the day talking about that, but try to make it relatively short. First, I think we need to go back and see why is the triple helix concept important for us at Saab. We're a defense and security company. We're working in an environment that is categorized by being extremely high-tech, very dependent on innovations, research, etc. And we're also coming from a country with only 10 million people. So that means that every possibility for us to tap on resources are important. We need to get access to every possible resource in Sweden to be able to develop our products. That's how it started. That's why Triple Helix is so important for us. And then seeing, how can we then transfer that experience and knowledge over to what we do here in Indonesia. And I think what we can do here is that first we can utilize the experience we have from STBs in Brazil, in Switzerland, and somewhat also in Malaysia. And we can provide an open and neutral forum where we can foster the connectivity and cooperations between academia, us in the industry, and the Indonesian government, of course. Because what I think is very important with all of Triple Helix, but also especially with the STBs, is that all three parties need to be there and contribute. It cannot be only one and two parties that contribute. It need to be all three parties. And yeah, I don't know if that was answering the question.
Yes, partly it answered it, but I realized you could have the whole day. Yeah. Yes, yeah. But could you give us what would be one of your goals, or could you make it a little bit tangible for us? How would you calculate success?
I think one of the discussions we had when we talked to representatives from the Indonesian government is how can we from Saab and Sweden help developing the local industry here in Indonesia. And I think that's of course that could be a very difficult goal, but I think if we can see that we can start helping at least part of it and see some companies that is getting access to technologies and intellectual property that they don't have today, and create something that at least can serve the Indonesian market to start with, and then in the future also be able to export these solutions out of Indonesia. That would be a great achievement, both for us, of course, and for Indonesia.
Good, win-win. Mr. Ola, yeah. When we spoke a bit before, I sensed that for you it was very important with the creativity of the individual and the possibilities that this can bring to companies like SKF. So how do you see that the Triple Helix model can enforce that?
Yeah, thank you, Anna. Ministers and Excellencies, Rectors. It's an honor to be here, and I represent SKF. And how many of you in this room know what SKF is doing.
Only the Swedish people.
Only the Swedish people. And I think this, to me, is the importance of the Triple Helix. To get the understanding of what the industry that we are representing has been working from 1907 in 130 countries with 17,000 distributors. The knowledge we have, how can that be applied effectively together with our creativity in Indonesia, in a aligned way between government, academia, industry? How can we use the best practices as a starting base and create new talent that will fit to the needs that we have from industry? So to me, the connectivity in the Triple Helix and to foster the individuals within the program with the values and the needs that we have, it's very exciting, and I so look forward to see these innovation parks coming up and we drawing the benefit out of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can tell you that for everybody in Indonesia who have ever traveled on a two-wheeler, the products from SKF is vital for these. So you might not know about the company, but you do know about the products. And now over to you, Carl-Johan. Yes. I realize that you can see yourself a bit as a facilitator in this context. But I would like to zoom out a little bit from EF and in more general terms talk about your experience from various countries that you work with and comment on what you believe are the key factors for success and that EF has a thought about. Please.
Absolutely, with pleasure. But first of all, let me thank you for the opportunity to be here. This wonderful campus is my first visit to Bandung, and it's a great pleasure to be here. Indeed, I travel the world, and from EF's side, we give advice to all parties of a Triple Helix, both to government, to academia, and to individual companies. And one of the general reflections we have advising all of these stakeholders is that there's a lack of formal processes in many cases. I mean, a prerequisite for Triple Helix to work is that you have open communication lines. And in fact, we did a recent survey with the Economist Intelligence Unit showing that, for instance, the communication between government and business is sometimes broken because there's no communication about the skills that are needed for the future. Ministries of education need input from private business to know, and vice versa. And the communication between academia and private business is also sometimes broken in the case of innovation. In Sweden, we have come a very long way turning basic research into innovation, into companies, job creation and economic growth. And Ideon Science Park is a very good example of that, and the rest of the ecosystem with incubators and venture capitalists and so on is a prerequisite for this to work. Now, if I were to give a few advice to, I realize we have representatives from both government, academia and private businesses here. To government, and particularly to the Ministries of Education, I would urge you to look at the investments that you do into infrastructure. There is a common mistake in the world that technology will solve everything. It is a great facilitator and accelerator, but unless you think about curriculum upgrades and above all the content, and importantly the development of the teachers, you cannot unlock the power of the technology. For academia, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit for you to focus on to develop skills like the 4 C's: communication, creativity, collaboration, and critical thinking. That is going to greatly enhance and accelerate the work with the Triple Helix. As I saw Minister Bambang's presentation, you've come a long way, but the 4 C's will help you unlock the power of it. And finally, private sector representatives here. I said this yesterday at the Executive Forum in Jakarta. Private sector needs to take responsibility, invest into formal education as well as into basic research, because it will benefit your companies, but also the country as a whole. And finally, I think we have great examples here on the panel, but also other companies in the room with internships and exchange programs, with leading academic institutions. I think that's a great way for you to make sure that graduates of ITB and other academic institutions can get jobs and contribute more quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you touched on the scholarships here, and as you said, both of you also work in companies where this is a vital part. Would you like to comment on how you have chosen to work with scholarships or things like that?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, at Saab we're working with scholarships in several countries, and here in Indonesia we have had two different concepts. One is that we have sponsored master theses both at KTH and Chalmers, and we also have a scholarships program that is more dedicated to the defense industry and the armed forces. You know, so we have currently we're running a 5-month program that is 17-18 people that has been first trained here in Indonesia by Swedish teachers and lecturers, instructors, then spend some time in Sweden at Saab and also at the Swedish Defense University, and then we're ending up with finalizing it in September here in Indonesia again with examinations, etc. I think it's a pretty good way of giving a good experience of what we do in Sweden, what we can do here, and then tying it all together with an examination. And so far the result and the feedback we're getting is very, very good. Several of the students, they come and ask us, you know, how can I study more in Sweden? How can we get more exchange of this, etc. So I think it's very fruitful and definitely something we want to continue with.
Thank you. And I realize that it also helps with the communication, for being critical and being able to say critical things. You need to be able to communicate and feel that trust. So, Ola, you also want to comment, I'm sure, about the student relations you have.
Yeah, I look at the relationship with students very much as our funnel of skilled labor, and someone that can be funneling into industry, understanding what we're doing, and working on maybe the challenges that is already existing. We might create capacity, but within the country we don't have a standardized capacity, so we need to have inventory holding of spare parts that is specifically unique. And if we can be aligned and educated, we bring in the standardization, the continuous improvement, and we try to work together with students, alumni coming back from Sweden. I'm looking forward to some discussion, maybe here even, to see if we can open up positions that they can have a continuous long-term relation with us. We create opportunity for them in Indonesia, and we draw the best benefit from it. So it's very positive.
Thank you. It's great that we're going to have the alumni coming in later on. Yes. I'm just going to have one final thing to all of you, and you have to be very, very short, because I was stuck in traffic. So, and the question is, if we turn everything around, your experiences from working here or in Asia, what will you bring home to your Swedish companies to make the Swedish companies better with learnings that you got here?
I believe the drive for improvement, the passion and the energy that we see, everybody here wants to do better, and it's so motivating to work in this country. I really cherish and appreciate it very much. So that I would like to translate into the Swedish community sometimes.
Please do.
I will try.
Okay, try to be short. What I would like to feed back to Sweden is the importance of actually having people and resources from Sweden out here in Indonesia, wherever it might be in Southeast Asia. You can't sit in Sweden and believe that you can make business here. That's just impossible. So I would like to see more Swedish people coming out to Indonesia, to this part of the region. More Swedish companies moving out from Sweden and locating local offices, local manufacturing in Indonesia and in the region. I think that's really important for Sweden and as well as for Indonesia.
And for me, any bilateral relations is a two-way street. I'm very, very impressed with the hospitality and the warmth and the empathy of the Indonesian people, and that's something that I will convey to all of my friends around the EF world. It's exceptional. The humbleness, the interest to learn, it's incredible. And we have a lot of things in Sweden, but we can learn a lot from you in terms of your culture and your hospitality. Thank you so much for giving that to us.
Thank you. That was, I would say, perfect last words, so I don't have to say anything more. Instead, I want to thank you all three for your participation. Thank you very much. And we are moving into the third section of today. Now we will discuss in groups. We want to take the opportunity of having all of you here to hear how you reflect on any ways to further develop this triple helix model in Indonesia. So we would like you to discuss around in your table, and there are 3 prepared questions here. Well, I don't have to ask for permission, I can decide. I decide that tables that are further to the entrance, you there who feel that you belong to those tables, you focus on the first question. How can Swedish companies contribute to Indonesian science and technology parks, and what's in it for them? If you have time over, you can talk about the other questions as well. You who feel that you're sitting closer to the other end, you will focus on the second question. How can Swedish competence play a role in the Indonesian economy? And of course, you who feel that you might be sitting in the middle, you focus on the third question. How can the triple helix model be applied in Indonesia? Please take a couple of minutes. I will tell you when time's up, and then we will see if we can get some summaries from you. And the representatives from the earlier speakers and from industry will also take part in this discussion. There you are.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Leo Aldianto. I'm representing that group over there who want to share our thinking about the contribution from the Swedish companies. The basic thinking, 1, companies, 1, market. And we offer that huge market in Indonesia. So we have that as a basic point. And then the second one, science and techno park, what we want to have. We want to have many innovations which will be commercialized further by either our own startups or in joint venture with established companies. So, based on that thinking, what we think Swedish companies can contribute to the development of science and techno parks in Indonesia, especially here in ITB. 1, of course, we want the presence of Swedish companies in the Indonesia Science and Techno Park, maybe in the form of R&D center, where we are going to jointly develop new product which will be marketed in this huge market in Indonesia. That is one for sure, maybe very interesting for Swedish companies. But to help us further, like I said, we have all this innovation and also startups. We want you, the support from Swedish company, to introduce these startups to the global value chain. Because you as Swedish companies may have already several global value chain, and if you can introduce 1 or 2 Indonesian startups to that global value chain, that will be very helpful to our startups development. And then our third suggestion, how Swedish companies can help Indonesian Science and Technopark is to open up Swedish market as well as global market for our startups, our innovations from our Science and Technoparks. That's the 3.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was 3 very practical examples. So thank you very much for that. And now then, we have someone willing to talk about the second question. I think it was at table U. Is that so?
Thank you very much. So I will try to answer the second question. So my name is Indah Budiani. I'm from Indonesia Business Council for Sustainable Development. So we have so many expectations to endorse the only representative from business Swedish company. So the first one is we expect that Swedish company can use the local supplier or source. Second one, we expect that Swedish company can set up a local company or to employ more local people. The third one, to support the technology improvement in Indonesia. And the fourth one, share the experience and knowledge to Indonesia. But in the other hand, the Swedish business also expect that Indonesia can help the Swedish business to penetrate the market by sharing the local market knowledge and also the market adaptation, as well as sharing the knowledge on how to be successful in Indonesia. But of course, all the efforts should be considering the local situation, such as the need of absorption of employment in Indonesia instead of automation, things like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And then finally, maybe not finally, we can have some more time, but it would be interesting to hear regarding the third question. And there we have a representative from the table C, if you would like to come up. Thank you very much. And hear how you summarize your discussion.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. So I'd like to share with you the short discussion in our table regarding about how can we apply the triple helix, especially in Indonesia. Probably as you know that the budget for R&D between the government and the private sector is still dominated by government sectors in Indonesia, about 80% to 20%. That's also influence the application of the triple helix. But what we learn between the governments, the academician, and the business, we still have different cultures. We have different mindset. So this is the thing that we have to sit together. We have to have open dialogues, so we can have trust to each other. So from our discussion, there is still, the industry is not really trust the result of the university or the R&D or the government R&D. So if we, from the government or university side, if we can be more active to approach the industry, that's one of the recommendation. So how can we do this? Things we already done some of the thing to make the triple helix happens. One is the consortium. So the consortium between the industry, the academician, and also the governments. And the other thing is the Science Technopark program. Basically, the Science Technopark program is the vehicles, to meet together between the academician, business, and governments. And I think this is our homework, to make it happen in Indonesia for the triple helix to work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I noticed that there were a lot of good discussions out there. So is there anyone who would like to share something in addition? I can come out to you and you can just stand up. You don't have to get up on stage.
Thank you. My name is Yales. I am from the private sectors. So we are discussing here many aspects, but what I would like to share with you all here So we are very interested with the experience from Ideon Technopark. They did a very wonderful job. 20,000 employment, 4 billion revenue. Wow. So very interesting. If you can share, bring that experience here. We believe you did a lot of mistake and also did a good job. So, and then by copying what you're doing, I think we will not do the same mistake again. Okay, that's the first things. So how do you process the new innovation product all the way down to the market? So what did you do there? Not only from the product development process, also the environmental around that product developments, from the financing market, from the regulation perspective as well, and so on, and from the people, from the manpower as well. So that kind of experience will also enlighten us and sharing the experience, and maybe will help us to expedite the commercialization of our own product innovation. I think that's what I would like to share. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I think, Sven Tore, you're sitting up there and you have a microphone. Would you like to comment about your mistakes?
The number of mistakes are tremendously. Because when we started the first science park in Scandinavia, and at that time there were probably 5 or 6 in Europe, mostly in Britain. So of course we did mistakes, but we also learned from that in order to correct ourselves. And what we are offering in Indonesia today is, I wouldn't say a system without mistakes, but it's a kind of a shortcut, so you can avoid most of the mistakes. And well, we found some already here. I mean, mistakes which can be corrected. Starting the first one in Sweden, the total number of incubators and science park in Sweden today is about 80. So we are almost up to the number 100, which is your goal in this country. The problem is that we are only 10 million and you are 263 million. But still, in quite a short time, we have established this kind of structure all over the country in connection with all Swedish universities.
Thank you, Sven Tore. Sven Tore will be here during discussion together with Marie Lövgren, some also have the academic perspective on both the mistakes and some of the key success factors. But I would like to just have one more table being able to share something. So please, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. My name is Dedi Saputra from Perspectives. In this table, we have a discussion to question number 2, which is how is Sweden company can play significant on Indonesian economic. We have discussion with people from Peter here, Peter from Swedish Business Chamber, and then Peter from Swedish Embassy, and we have Pak Sujatmiko from Kadin. So we come up with some conclusion that I think Swedish can play significant role in Indonesian economic development. We can see that a lot of industrial product from Swedish that we can is very popular in Indonesia. We have Ericsson, IKEA, Scania, Volvo, even Skype that used to be belong to Sweden. But the thing is, the challenge is Swedes only bring their technology, not their people. So this thing about the mentality, you should know Indonesian people when you want to sell your product. That's the thing. That's the challenge. So unlike USA that you know Facebook or you know Mark Zuckerberg, and we talking about Apple, we know Steve Jobs. So we don't know who's behind the IKEA, Scania, or everything. That's the things. That's why our thing is we have to more people exchange in terms of capability and mentality. Capability, of course, we have to learn from Sweden, from Swedish people, from Swedish industry about how in terms of Triple Helix, STP, and everything. The other thing is about mentality. Swedish people have to learn about Indonesian mentality, Indonesian people. we also have to learn about mentality of that the things that miss during I think until now we really not really know what Swedish, and Swedish doesn't know really what Indonesian are. That's the point of our tabel. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This was really fantastic to hear the discussion that really never ended, and also your really good comments. Thank you all very much. Now, I'm here to sum up this first half because we're going out to coffee, and I would just like to make a short summary of it all. We are here, I have to remind you all about the purpose. We are here to further understand the Triple Helix model of academia, industry and government sector, and we want to be able to develop it for an Indonesian context. The goal for Indonesia being that more companies not only see Indonesia as a market, but also as a country where valorized production is made and ultimately where innovation and creation is done here, generating new sustainable businesses. Listening to our speakers, we learned that it's possible to turn farmland to a successful innovation hub, and that entrepreneurship is necessary also in mature companies, and that you can get vital injections through students from entrepreneurial programs. We have also heard that the Indonesian government and support organizations are committed to the Triple Helix model. Listening to the company representatives, we understood that they are engaged and they are willing to engage more, and that they see various aspects of education not only as important, but as a prerequisite for development. And finally, from these group discussions, you have shared very many things. You want presence from the Swedish companies in the science parks, presence of Swedish people here to get to know you and understand you. You want the companies to introduce perhaps smaller startups to global supply chain, to help and introduce and discuss how to make the best market developments, how to work on best practices. And you want, of course, that all parties, Sweden, Indonesia, but also the parties of the Triple Helix model, do all this on the basis of trust. So with this, I would like to say, and I'm so sincerely thank you for the participation, and I welcome you to have coffee together, and please now honor the schedule. It is extremely important that you make it back here and that you are seated no later than 10 minutes to 4. 10 minutes to 4. This is to make sure that we are present in time for the arrival of the royal couple. When the Majesties arrive, I will ask you to rise, and you will remain standing until the Majesties are seated. When they leave, you remain seated. Okay? Can we do that? Yes? Good. Be back here no later than 10 minutes to 4. Please continue the discussions over coffee. Please rise for the arrival of their Majesties King Carl Gustaf XVI of Sweden and Queen Silvia of Sweden. Your Majesties, Ministers, Governors, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. The purpose of today is to further understand the Triple Helix model of academia, industry, and the government sector, to be able to develop it for the Indonesian context. The goal for Indonesia being that more companies not only see Indonesia as a market, but also as a country where valorized production is made and ultimately where innovation and creation generate new sustainable businesses. I shortly summarized the earlier session. I'd like to do it again for our new guests. We listened to speakers and learned that it is possible to turn farmland to successful innovation hubs. But we also learned and heard that it would be even easier to have success if this farmland was close to a university. That entrepreneurship is necessary also in mature companies, and that you can get vital injections through students gone through entrepreneurship programs. We have also heard that the Indonesian government and support organizations are all committed to the Triple Helix model. Listening to company representatives, we understood that they are engaged and willing to engage more, and that they see various aspects of education as not only as important, but as a prerequisite for development and success. And finally, from group discussions that we had around all these tables, that I could hardly end them because you were all talking so much. This group discussion really showed that we have the final thing to the Triple Helix: communication. You have started to communicate amongst all these three important nodes. And from the representatives of the different discussions, we heard that you want more presence from large companies, presence in the startup community, in the hubs. And you want also the more mature companies to introduce the newer ones to the supply chain, to help adopt for different markets. And you want us all to get to know each other better. And what other way could be better than starting today? We will now continue the second part of our program and introducing our key lecturers. Please, everybody, welcome Rector of LTH, Lund University, Viktor Öval.
Majesties, Ministers, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. So I will talk about the Triple Helix from a university perspective and not the Lund University's perspective. I will take it based on examples, and I will choose those examples mainly from Lund University. I will start with the Lund University seal from the foundation of the university. And here it says, in Latin, by the sword, it says ad utrumque, and in full it should be ad utrumque paratus, which in English is prepared for both. So what is that? That is the book. We see the lion holding a hand on the book. That is knowledge, that is academia. We have the sword, battle, or here we can say it, government. But then there is nothing more. So I added an adjustable spanner, or in Swedish, a skiftnyckel, to show the industry perspective. So this is the Triple Helix already in 1666, a modified version. Lund, just a few words on Lund University. It was founded in 1666 and turns 350 years right now, and we have a year of celebration. We are a large university with over 45,000 students, and is a comprehensive university with all faculties combined, which is a large strength. Sven Tore talked this morning about the Ideon Science Park, and we heard about the importance of closeness. Ideon was founded on farmland back in 1983, just close to the university here, where my office is actually right there. Sven Ture is also a neighbor in Lund, so closeness is important. Ideon has grown. That is Ideon today. But we have also added Medical Village more towards the life sciences. And we have a large number of companies, including Ericsson, Sony, Axis, Volvo, IBM, and I could go on forever in this. And we can go from the university up to this in 10 minutes. Proximity is important. Now to some examples. Ericsson and the university started working together long before it was called Triple Helix. I actually did my master thesis work at Ericsson at Ideon in the late 80s. But one thing more than proximity, here we see Ericsson from the private side. We have Televerket, Telia Sonera today, who was the Swedish national operator, and we see two universities, Lund University and the Royal Institute of Technology, KTH. But proximity is important. What's even more important is people, presence. And those, to me, are two very important guys in wireless communication in Sweden. Sven-Olof Örvik down here was professor at Lund University, recruited actually from Ericsson, and really important that Ericsson is so big today, I would say. He was also my PhD supervisor. This is Professor Zetterberg, or maybe I should, from KTH, who's also, I would say, the grandfather of telecommunication in Sweden. But here is a statement from Sven-Olof Örvik. 1 decade from now, mobile phones will be digital and fit in your shirt pocket. In the mid-80s, this is vision. You need visions as well. Another thing, innovation coming from Lund, is Bluetooth, innovated at Ericsson by, among others, Sven Mattisson, who was my master thesis supervisor and who is an adjunct. So I have big friends. Just last summer, actually Lund University put a world record in data rates. I will not explain to you exactly what those numbers mean, but it's a world records by a large margin. And we did this together with, among other, Ericsson in our European Union projects. Is problem solved? Not at all. We have lots of things to go. Data rates, latency, energy, reliability, security. Lots and lots to do. Water is something vital. Lund University have worked with Indonesia for many years on coastal planning and management in a true triple helix with authorities, university, and private companies. We also have the Blue Bag Award, the IKEA Blue Bags, where they donated the money to, among other things, a scholarship for this young girl from Indonesia who I gave the diploma last Friday at the examination ceremony in Lund. And we have another student invention, orbital system, shower of the future, where water actually circulates and gets filtered so that you save water and you don't need to heat it, so you save energy as well. It's quite intricate, and my dad, who was a student in industrial design, created a company that is now getting a lot of attention and a lot of capital. You can see here he was on CNN, got prizes all over the world. Another scarce resource is energy. how do we do? In Indonesia, it's hard to distribute energy because you have so many islands and it's hard to transport fuel. We are preparing a project between Lund University and ITB at the moment, trying to get it funded, how we can produce energy from biomass that we heard about this morning as well, from palm oil residues or from wood. So, and here Lund has a huge expertise. And actually last week, Magnus Jenrup, who's a professor at my school, he was here teaching a course in turbo machinery at ITB. And if you're from Lund, you need to mention the 2 large-scale research facility that is currently being built or has been inaugurated. This is Max 4, a synchrotron light source that was inaugurated by His Majesty the King in June last year. And here we can do fantastic new science, look at materials. For instance, how can we refine wood? How can we use nanocellulose to make new wood products? And we are building the European spallation source, a neutron source just next door, that we use neutrons to do other fantastic experiments. And we want companies to come there and use that. This is not a university thing. So in between, we are building Science Village Scandinavia, where we will, or my vision is that part of the university will actually move to science and innovation, to Science Village Scandinavia, together with company to create a new thing where we really do the Triple Helix model in full. And I propose that we should try to make Science Village Scandinavia and Brunnshög, which today is farmland like a Dion was in the early 80s, create this to a test bed for smart and sustainable cities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now I have the honor to introduce Her Excellence Anna Johansson, the Swedish Minister for Infrastructure, on the topic, the Triple Helix from the Government Perspective. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Your Majesties, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I must say it's a real privilege to be at this fantastic place, in this environment. I can understand that your students are more encouraged and more inspired than elsewhere. This is extremely beautiful, and I'm very happy to be here today. The world of today are facing a lot of challenges when it comes to environmental changes, the climate threat, when it comes to fighting poverty, and a lot of other issues. And here in Indonesia, you are facing several of them. And I would like to give a short perspective from the government side on Swedish innovation, because I strongly believe that innovation and new technology, digitalization, connectivity, mobility are striving forces towards more equality and better life for all. In Sweden, we have a model for Triple Helix that we have been having, as we heard just before, for not only decades but really centuries. And I think that is one of the keys to the Swedish success. We were not so long ago one of the poorest countries in Europe, and today we are one of the most successful countries in the world. And I'd say that innovation and providing good soul for innovation is keys to that development. I would like to give 3 very concrete examples from the infrastructure area, of course, since I'm the Minister for Infrastructure, and I believe that transportation is really at the core of societal development. One is that we do have a new technology that is invented in Sweden, where Saab, together with the Swedish Aviation Control Agency, has developed a system for remote control towers. That means that you can control several airports from the same place, and you don't have to have towers on each airport. That is, of course, a very good thing for rural areas where you may not have the right competence, or if you have small airports with not so much traffic, that you can actually control them from one spot instead of having towers in each airport. That is up and running, and we are first in the world to have the technology up and running, and we have had so for over a year now. And I'd say that what is unique in this case is not really the technology, because the technology is also elsewhere in the world. But what is really unique is that our agency, our official agency, has been a part of developing this new technology. And that means that they are approved and they are up and running, and that has not happened anywhere else. Another example is that almost a year ago, we inaugurated the very first electrified road in the world outside of Gävle and Sandviken in Sweden. And that is another example where, in this case, Scania and German Siemens, sorry. Scania and Siemens have provided the technology for this, but again, Swedish agencies have been taking active part in driving it, and that means that it's up and running, and everything that is needed from the governmental part is in place. A third example is that this year we will have 100 self-driving cars around the streets of Gothenburg in Sweden. And again, this is the first full-scale test in the world where the authorities have been a part of putting it into reality. The technology is developed in many places in the world, but thanks to Triple Helix model, we can be a little bit faster and a little bit ahead. And I think that this is a very strong driving force for innovation to actually not only be technology, but to also come to the societal benefit. We have in Sweden a few more things that I think are crucial, and that is that we have a very high educated labor force, and we encourage our children to be innovative, to be responsible, and to actually take part in developing. And I think that is something that, and also in our organizations and in our companies, we think that to actually have people taking responsibility and to have a kind of bottom-up approach, that also is a good force for innovation. All innovation doesn't come from above. Sometimes very clever solutions come up at the very floor of an organization. And I think that is also a very important thing, putting Sweden as the second best innovation country in the world in several different measures only this year. That means that we're very proud of our innovation and of our companies and of our Triple Helix model, but we also think that openness and collaboration, not only in Sweden, but also with other countries, free trade, collaboration with other countries, to actually be a part of developing good life for everyone, not only at home, but also in other countries, is a very important thing for us to keep working on. And that's why I'm very happy to be here in Indonesia for these 3 days with their Majesties in this state visit, because I can see an almost perfect match between the needs that are so clear here in Indonesia and the knowledge and the competence from Swedish companies. And I think there is great potential for further cooperation between businesses and the society here in Indonesia, but also between academia here and in Sweden, as we will hear more about later this afternoon. So I think that we have some to learn from Indonesia, but I'm also sure that Indonesia has something to learn from Sweden. And I think that this state visit is a very clear remark on our ambitions in deepening and strengthening the relations between our countries. Thank you very much.
university, from government, and therefore I have the honor now to introduce Ulf Evaldsson, Senior Vice President and Head of Business Area Digital Services at Ericsson. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Your Majesties, Ministers, Excellencies, and ladies and gentlemen, representing the Royal Institute of Technology and the global telecom provider Ericsson and the Royal Academy of Engineering, I will make some remarks on business and Triple Helix. The Royal Institute of Technology, situated in Stockholm in Sweden, is the technical university that ranks the highest in northern mainland Europe. It was the first institute of technology in Sweden, founded in 1827 by decision of the then King of Sweden, Carl XIV Johan. It was then an institute of Polytechnique modeled after the French model of École Polytechnique, which was founded in Paris in 1794 and was the first of its kind when it came. The purpose of technical institutes and universities is from the beginning much to support development of society and industries, where the Triple Helix model way of cooperation is well suited for this. The Royal Institute of Technology in Sweden has a total of 15,000 undergraduate students and close to 2,000 postgraduate students and almost 5,000 members of staff. We educate civil engineers in all major engineering areas, as well as have research in all major engineering areas. Sweden has for a long time been working in a Triple Helix model around several of our universities. And I must also mention here and give credit to Lund University, of course, who has done the fantastic presentation also about the Ideon Park. And Ericsson was the anchor tenant or a very early investor in this park and an initiative, part of the initiative. Ericsson is a telecom infrastructure provider with $30 billion in turnover and around 110,000 employees worldwide, with presence in 180 countries. As a technology leading company, we are relying on innovation and world-class research and development with more than $4 billion in an annual R&D budget. It is important to point out that a significant part of our development in Ericsson is happening through our technology partners, sub-suppliers, our research cooperations with academia. Triple Helix emerged in the mid-90s as a new innovation regime and a concept that has grown into conceptual framework for exploring the complex dynamics of the knowledge society and for informing policymakers at a national, regional and international level in the design of new innovation and development strategies. The Swedish Royal Academy of Engineering, which is an applied science academy, is an early version of an implementation of a Triple Helix model. The Academy is an independent organization which promotes contact and exchange between business, research and government in Sweden and internationally. It is the world's oldest such academy of applied sciences and was founded in 1919. I am so very happy to announce that the Swedish IVA, as it's called in Swedish, the Royal Academy of Engineering, and the Indonesian Academy of Science, AIPI, have decided to explore possibilities to collaborate. As a first step, a delegation from AIPI will visit Stockholm during the summer. Sweden is making full use of the Triple Helix models to support business and society development, I would argue. For example, the Swedish Governmental Agency for Innovation Systems, Vinnova, devotes an important part of its activities to stimulate the cooperation between firms, universities, research institutes and other Swedish innovation actors. Or the Research Institute of Sweden, RISE as we call it in in Swedish, which does applied science research together with industry and society. University, industry and government corporations has a central role also in the European Union, where Sweden is very active in innovation policies, such as Innovation Union Flagship Initiative of Europe 2020, and it's perceived as a solution to the innovation emergency of Europe that we now face. So what's the role of government? Our ministry has already spoken about it, but I will also add that it's related very much to risk-taking from a business perspective. Mariana Mazzucato wrote in her best-selling book, The Entrepreneurial State, about it. Her point is that the most radical new technologies in different sectors, from the internet to pharmaceuticals, trace their funding also to a courageous and risk-taking state. So how can business, ultimately economic growth, be created from this? The needs of business really boils down to an efficient innovation system and management of risks. A large company like Ericsson needs a whole ecosystem of smaller companies and entrepreneurs and research projects all around itself to do well. What is often forgotten in the Triple Helix discussions is the role of large corporations. We foster, finance and bring up, stimulate more innovation in startups than any other stakeholder in the Triple Helix. All science parks and innovation centers in the world has a large industrial companies as anchor tenants, and it is extremely important for our success that we get the Triple Helix model to work, to build smaller corporations to be part of our ecosystem. In a multinational technology leader like us, we generate ideas and innovations on a daily basis that also get killed due to our financial focus and our profit-generating needs. Much of this is good because all ideas are not good, but some ideas would need an incubation and a stimulation, and perhaps more importantly, a risk sharing that comes from outside a large corporation like our own. This is also when it can become strong enough to make it back into Ericsson, or perhaps become a new business and a new company on its own. This way of spinning in and spinning out ideas is essential for a fast-moving technology company, but I would argue for any company that needs agility in its innovation framework. This is needed as digitalization of business of all kinds changes all companies into high-tech providers and high-tech consumers. I would also like to tell you about a concept which in the Triple Helix concept is a great example of that. Together with the Stockholm government and the KTH Royal Institution of Technology and a constellation of Swedish companies such as Ericsson, Scania, Skanska, Vattenfall and ABB, we are building something that we call Digital Demo Stockholm. And Digital Demo Stockholm is a very good example of how a Triple Helix concept can really work, where we help to solve some of the critical issues for Stockholm City. Clean water, elderly care systems, and traffic management are examples of this. It is clear that technology such as IoT will be used to solve many of these challenges. It gives the government the opportunity to solve important society challenges. It gives academia a research platform to do cross-disciplinary real studies, and it gives companies a show window of their technology, of how their technology can be applied. I will also end by saying how proud we are to sign an MOU today between Ericsson and the Institute of Technology in Bandung for providing an IoT platform with APIs for Indonesian corporations to build applications on. After all, the best way for business to benefit from the Triple Helix concept is to actually engage and to actually do it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Terima kasih.
Thank you so much. Now we have come to the ceremonial part of the program, where we are honored to be present during the official signing of both a Memorandum of Agreement and a Memorandum of Understanding of great potential and importance for both our countries. To witness the signing, we are honored to have Minister Anna Johansson and Minister Bambang Brodjonegoro. Please. We will start with the Memorandum of Agreement. This is between the Ministry of Research, Technology and Higher Education of the Republic of Indonesia and Lund University, Sweden, concerning development, education and training on innovation systems, entrepreneurship and science park management. For Perspectives, it will be signed by Patono Suvigno, and for Lund University by Victor Öval. The Memorandum of Understanding between PT Ericsson, Indonesia, and Institute Technology Bandung concerning Internet of Things Accelerator Innovation Center. For Ericsson Indonesia, it will be signed by Thomas Juhl, President Director, Meriam Katombo, Director. For Institute Technology Bandung, Professor Kadarsa Suryadi and Dr. Yaka Sembiring. Thank you all. This has been a fantastic day as a starting point for so many things. And I think that even though it is really warm in here, I think we also feel the warmth within. To give his closing remarks on this day, I invite now up on stage again Rector of ITB, Professor Carl XVI.
Their Majesties, the King and the Queen of Sweden, Ministers, Excellencies, Honorable, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It is my great honor to address you all in the closing session of the Triple Helix Seminar jointly organized by Sweden Embassy and Institute Teknologi Bandung. Their Majesties, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we had already very good discussion, sharing ideas, exploring opportunities to collaborate on how university, government, and business entity could work together in creating values and benefit for our society. Today, in the transparent and global world, we cannot work alone anymore. University needs network, government needs counterpart, business entity needs partner. If we think we could work on our own, we will be left behind by those who are working in collaboration. Moreover, innovation has played very significant role in progressing our goal. Business entity, university, even government, if they do not innovate, they will be disappearing or at least be forgotten sooner or later. And we have witnessed some companies who disappeared because they did not innovate enough. Their Majesties, ladies and gentlemen, innovation cannot be created if we do not advance our fundamental knowledge through research and development. In this case, university is playing a major role. Therefore, the concept of triple helix, which we know has been developed for quite some time, is very ideal. However, the level of communication and interaction among the elements of triple helix should be strengthened. In addition, the science park for some countries, perhaps for Sweden, is also not something new, whereas for us in Indonesia, science park is relatively a new concept. We are still finding out what is the best form of science park should be developed in Indonesia. In the last 2 years, I think Indonesian government is trying to build many science parks, so is ITB. Since ITB is now moving from research university toward entrepreneurial university, the link with industries and government is very essential. I would certainly agree that science park could be an ideal meeting place for triple helix. I believe you have already discussed such topic earlier today. Until today, there are already many cooperations between Swedish institutions and ITB. For example, many Swedish universities such as Lund University, Kalmar University, Högskolan i Borås, Kungliga Tekniska Högskolan, the Royal Institute of Technology Stockholm, Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences, Swedish Forest Agency, Tornedalen Folkhögskola, Chalmers Tekniska Högskola, and also R&D centers such as Department of Aeronautical and Vehicle KTH Stockholm, and ASEAN Regional Research Project on Environmental Technology funded by Swedish International Development and Cooperation Agency. And also there are some companies such as Saab, ABB Research Center Västra Sweden, and Ericsson who conduct collaboration with ITB, we have signed MOU between Ericsson and ITB. Give applause for Ericsson, please. So, cooperation between Swedish institutions and ITB includes more than 20 activities such as visiting professors, student exchange, joint research, and also industrial collaboration research. This fact shows excellent cooperation between Swedish and Indonesia. ITB is transforming from research university towards entrepreneurial university by accommodating entrepreneurs and technology-based startups with a sustainable ecosystem of innovation. ITB Innovation Park, which is a collaboration between ITB, Bandung City Government, whereas the major is present here, and also private company, and supported by our Ministry of Research Technology and Higher Education, and also by our Ministry of National Development Planning, Professor Bambang Sumantri. Thank you very much for your support. So this collaboration is aimed to play a significant role in realizing this transformation from research university toward entrepreneurial university. Targeted outcomes of ITB Innovation Park are innovation-based startup, joint ventures to commercialize ITB technologies, joint research to create innovative products and services. Therefore, ITB would be very happy to have an opportunity to work with Swedish companies, Swedish universities and government in any of those activities such as support technology-based startup development, joint innovation, and become partner companies to commercialize research results and invention. Dear Majesties, ladies and gentlemen, I certainly hope every success to our endeavor of making the Triple Helix concept working very well through the existence of Science Park. And of course, I'm very much looking forward to a fruitful cooperation between ITB, universities from Sweden, such as Lund University, Royal Institute of Technology, and many others, and also business partners from both Sweden and Indonesia, and also our governments. And at the end of my speech, let me deliver my speech in Swedish. I apologize if I mispronounce. Yes, my starter. Vi är glada att ni besöker vår campus. De have besökt skaparan bro vänskap mellan Indonesian och Sverige. Tack för besöket. Once again, I would like to express our highest gratitude for their Majesties, the King and the Queen of Sweden visit to Institute Teknologi Bandung. It is such a great honor for us to have their Majesties as our honorable guests. Please give applause for our Majesties. Finally, allow me to thank the Embassy of Sweden and also all my colleagues here in ITB who have put many effort to prepare and organize this seminar. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you and tack sa miket.